Hey cousins, happy Tuesday. As you guys know, I love pop culture. I have been a pop culture fanatic ever since I was a little kid. And part of that was my mom worked at a factory where they would do magazines and books and all this stuff. And I remember being a little kid, and one of my favorite types of magazines to read were the pop culture ones. So you think this is around. I was what? I was under the age of 10. So I'm talking like 8 years old. It's 2004. And what do I remember so vividly from that era? I remember Britney Spears and Kevin Federline. They had one of the most chaotic, hot mess marriages ever that ultimately led to a lot of Britney Spears's notorious downfall. Well, now, after 2 decades, everybody has moved on with their life and in the world. But the person who seems to not be able to move on is Kevin Federline, who I just learned has published a book. He has published a memoir about his time with Britney Spears because he saw that she was at her lowest, and why not go dig for more? So we're going to be reading him for filth today. Also talking about Nicki Minaj and why I feel fear for Nicki Minaj's safety and feel that she may be in a similar situation that we've seen both Britney and Wendy Williams be put into, and she's becoming more vocal about it, which is why I believe she posted the trailer to my now infamous interview with Damori Hadley on her Twitter 3 times last night. So we're going to get into all of that. Y'all know the vibes. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Welcome to Respectfully. So yes, it has not aired yet. We pre-recorded today, but I went on the Piers Morgan show, made a long-awaited return, and I spoke after Kevin Federline. I'm not going to air out too much of what we talked about there because I want you guys to see it first, but just let it be known it got real messy. And I'm glad that it did. I read Kevin Federline for filth because I'm honestly really disturbed by the fact that he's even back in headlines at a time where, if you've seen any recent content from Britney Spears, you can tell she is struggling with something. I don't view her, when I look at her, and I was talking to Mr. Rodriguez about this today, I don't think that Britney is actively abusing drugs. I think that she is someone that has been, who has a history of drugs and has been over medicated. And that's what she strikes me as today. And again, so much of that and so much of her infamous crash out, the crash out of all crash outs, started with the whole Kevin Federline beef, or not beef, marriage that turned into a beef. So their history, if you don't remember, because y'all know Country Will in the back as well. Country Will didn't even know who Kevin Federline was. And it's so funny because I forgot he existed until this whole debacle started again. But they were married from about 2004 until 2007. It was a mess. You just had to be there. This was fresh after Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake fell apart. A lot of people still view Justin Timberlake as the one that got away. And I honestly do agree with that, even though I also don't like Justin Timberlake. I don't like him either. He's not off the hook because he also mistreated her. And I'll never forgive him for what he did to Janet. But I'll also never forgive Kevin Federline because he was just the villain of all villains, but not even like a likable villain. He was just like kind of a sleazebag that was clearly in this for the fame and to exploit her based on literally every human being's collective presumption when looking at them. Now, their breakup was really bad. As you guys know, 2007, it was around when they got divorced. She had a very horrific meltdown, which some of my younger audience may not remember. 2007, Britney Spears has shaved head, horrifically shaved head. She is hitting cars with Now, y'all didn't have to do my girl like that. She going through enough right now. But Country Will, I know that was you. But that being said, she notoriously was hitting paparazzi like with umbrellas. It was just a lot going on. Like, this photo was my screensaver at one point when I was a little kid. I'm not even joking. Like, this, you just had to be there. Everybody was there. You just had to be there. But the meltdown was so bad that eventually people were so happy that she left Kevin Federline that, as much as I don't like Rosie O'Donnell or The View, this moment lives in my head rent-free, and you have to see it.
I know, but it's the biggest news in the country, ladies and gentlemen. Britney Spears is leaving Jason!
Confetti is crazy. This looks so archaic. Okay, I'll give The View their 10s there. Back then, The View, they always had horrible takes, but that one ate. That one is so iconic because imagine people being that excited that you have broken up with your spouse. That is how bad Kevin was. But that being said, Kevin Federline, who has been a welfare baby of Britney Spears's for 20 years now, he has just released his new book. This is the cover. Don't buy it. Don't look into it. I'll give you everything you need to know about it because I'm just so not here for it. Because first of all, what in the I Know What You Did Last Summer? You thought you knew. I'm Kevin Federline. I'm Kevin Federline, and I've been silent for 20 years, and now I finally get to tell my story. I just think the time is right now, and because Britney is at her lowest, I think that I have to be the one to save her for the kids, because I'm a great father. That's basically every interview he's done, and you're gonna see that I ain't lying. Like, it's so horrific. He looks like Billy Ray Cyrus trying to audition for I Know What You Did Last Summer in this memoir. And what really gagged me is on the back of the memoir, he calls himself a pop culture icon. Chow, you were a pop culture plus one. That's what you were. All tea, all shade, and all offense. But again, after 20 years straight of rooting for Britney's downfall, not enough was enough. And the reason that I say that is because you have to think this man got collectively well over $5 million of support from Britney Spears over the years. His youngest child with Britney is now 19, so the child support checks dried up last year, even though he tried to be slick. He tried to be slick and moved to Hawaii, probably thinking that because Hawaii, you can actually get child support longer. He probably thought he was going to be able to extend it once he sent his paperwork showing that he moved, but it didn't work. And I'm glad it didn't work. But every time Britney Spears would do something wrong or have a mistake or have a public meltdown, that was his cue to run to the court and make sure that he was getting more money and making sure that he was keeping the kids away from her so that he would not have to split the support. Now, here's an interview he just did with Entertainment Today talking about the book. And you'll see that my impression of him is spot on.
I'm absolutely, as a father, terrified that one day I might wake up and my sons are going to have to deal with the unimaginable. I kind of have to sound the alarm that I truly feel that somehow, some way, I just wish that their mom would get help. What's going on now, and I'm not going to get into details because I'm not going to just expose her personal life, but it's 10 times worse than anything that I've said in my book. I've stayed with my mouth shut for the sake of my family. I've tried to help my sons build a relationship with their mother, and I pray to God every day that she gets the help that she needs or wakes up and realizes that you have two sons right there in front of you that are screaming for a life with you, the same that they have with the rest of their family. At the end of the day, I just want Britney to be around for her children for a long time.
Now, let me say this. I'm sure there's some truth to elements of what he's saying where he wants, things to be best for his kids. Because from what I've read and I've seen and from what it seems like Britney's kids have turned out like, I don't think he's a bad father. I just think he is a habitual clout chaser who can't help but try to exploit Britney's reputation. And he keeps trying to make it seem like he waited this long because he wanted to do what was right for his kids and that it's gotten so bad he has to say something. It's like, no, you knew if you started speaking out earlier, that might have jeopardized your bank account is what it looks like to me. And I feel like this is the lesson for everybody to know. If you have some motion going for you and you got some great things going for you, maybe don't marry someone that only wants to come up and try to only get married once. I know it's hard. I know it's hard for a lot of you to only get married once. No shade. But don't end up with a Kevin Federline. Now, some of the things that he talks about in this book and how he's trying to say, he says he's not putting Britney's business out there, but the whole thing is him putting her business out there. But he says that Britney stood silently in the doorway watching their kids, watching them sleep with a knife. He says that she allegedly punched their son in the face, which I know a lot of mothers do these days. A lot of these mothers are really they're honing in on that discipline. He also says that she fed their son Jaden shellfish and took him horseback riding, even though he has severe allergies. Says that Britney Spears showed up unannounced to Kevin Federline's home with her breasts exposed from a ripped shirt and delivered a diaper for Jaden, who hadn't worn one in over a year. And then also said that she forced her son Preston to bathe with her when he was 10 or 11 years old, making him uncomfortable. And continues to go, or it says that during an argument, Spears told Preston she wished that he, Jaden, and Federline were all dead. And then also says that Britney drank alcohol and sniffed that Pepsi while she was breastfeeding their sons, which I think is the most notorious claim of them all. Now, again, I can assume there's probably some truth to some of these things. Britney Spears was not in the best state of mind. That's why her kids were taken away from her. But I also just think, who benefits from you putting this out all these years later? Especially if you're watching the mother of your child be on those types of substances while breastfeeding. You should have called somebody a long time ago, because now I'm looking at you as a shady father too. And it's sad to see, because Britney continues to be exploited by everybody in her family, it seems like. You had Jamie Lee Spears, her little sister, who went and made her book right when Britney Spears was having a moment, right when she was, needing a moment of peace and happiness and joy. Boom. Here came Jamie Lynn Spears, who has forever tainted Zoe 101 from my childhood. And she goes, and I just met the guy who played her little brother in there. Really nice guy. Hopefully he doesn't exploit Britney too. And then you have her father. Her father, I would need a whole episode dedicated to why I don't like that man, and the way he was getting so much of her money well into her adulthood, while simultaneously allegedly not allowing her to basically exist in peace. That conservatorship was very notorious for how bad it was. But that being said, this is her family. She's been surrounded her whole life by people that are taking advantage of her since she was a little girl on, I don't know if that was Disney, but or whatever channel had Mickey Mouse Clubhouse back in the day when Britney first started in the game. So it's sad to see. But, Kevin, I'm just so disgusted by this behavior, because have you not gotten enough? $5 million in child support, that wasn't enough over the years. You have made a full-time career of being Britney Spears' ex. At some point, you have to move on. And he wants to claim that this is all about me wanting to make sure that Britney's okay. I don't want her to lose her life. How is telling the world that she allegedly had a lesbian affair 20 years ago, how is that helping your situation? How is that helping her situation? The only person that gets hurt in this is Britney. And he thought that this was going to give him a renaissance. But yeah, everybody's just dragging him again because his book sales are in the toilet. They are in the toilet for a good reason, because nobody wants this book. Nobody. Now, why would he do that to his head? That's crazy. That's crazy. But why on earth did he think that telling the world about Britney Spears' lesbian encounter, allegedly, from years ago, decades ago, literally 2 decades ago, what is that relevant to do with her mental health today? And then you want to talk about the Pepsi during pregnancy, the snow during pregnancy? First of all, either that's a lie or you committed perjury in court, because I saw this document. Shout out to this Britney Spears Stan account of this tweet that talks about how, I gotta put my eyes on for that because that is small. Hold on. Y'all can read it here. Put on these glasses. Y'all know I'm blind. The ding is crazy. Court documents prove Kevin Federline never saw Britney do drugs, despite the claims he made in his book. This is called perjury, and it's a federal crime. So either you lied in the court of law about seeing her do drugs, or you lied in your book. Which one is it, Kevin? I would like to know, which one is it? Was she doing drugs or not? Because he says on here that he would have seen it and that he did not. These are all in the court documents. So it's like, that's the thing that my mom always says about a liar. Don't even worry about half the time in your personal life. Don't even worry about calling out a liar. Just ask them the same question, maybe a few weeks, maybe even a few days, sometimes even a few hours later, and they will give you a whole different answer, because liars are messy, and a liar can never stay on top of their own lies more often than not. Unless they're just completely delusional and a narcissist and they really believe their lies. But someone like Kevin, he just seems messy. Okay. And this is scary because I've talked to you guys before extensively about the Damari Hadley situation. And if you haven't seen that interview yet, please go back and watch it. Damari Hadley, quick synopsis. She is the daughter of Desiree Perez. Desiree Perez is the CEO of Roc Nation, business partners with Jay-Z, has been business partners with Jay-Z since before Jay-Z was even famous. And they have been accused of a lot of scary allegations when it comes to racketeering. Now, I've talked about before too, how the DC world of like the swamp that MAGA always talks about, and the swamp of Hollywood and the corruption and the lengths that people will go to keep you silent, it's very, very scary. And if they will do it to a regular person, they will also do it to megastars. And Nicki Minaj has been very vocal about the whole Damari Hadley situation, but also about the Britney situation, because I'm sure she sees the conservatorship and the over medication that was put upon Britney, and she's scared about it too. So Nicki posted the Damari Hadley interview trailer, and I want to play this for you guys, so you can see this as well, just again, if you have not seen the interview yet.
A South Florida woman is taking legal action after she says she spent nearly 2 weeks in mental health institutions for no legitimate reason.
I have been falsely imprisoned through the misuse of the Baker Act, the Marchman Act, and a petition for a guardianship. And then my husband was falsely imprisoned 3 times.
So legally, I can go home.
No, you cannot.
Why?
Because you're being Baker active.
Nicki Minaj is personally so invested in what's happening to you, putting out the hashtag Justice for Dem.
And according to Damari, it's her own mother who's behind it.
So she's the CEO of Rock Nation, a company that she owns along with Sean Carter, the famous rapper Jay-Z.
Sean Carter, investigate your team, investigate your management team. When does accountability come in for these people, right?
Why is she so determined, allegedly, to have you not only be quiet, but to be put into a psychiatric ward? Like, what's going on? I've said it before and I'll say it again. People are not paying enough attention to the Damari Hadley story. The reason why a lot of major outlets won't talk about it is because they're paid to not talk about it, allegedly, and for entertainment purposes. But that being said, it's like Nicki Minaj is reposting that. She reposted that exact trailer last night because people need to wake up to what's happening. And I'm very scared that it's going to get to the point where it's too late for a lot of these people, too late for people like Britney. It already is too late for Britney, if we're going to be honest. It's too late for Britney. It is arguably too late for Wendy Williams. Now Nicki Minaj. I also have a similar theory about Justin Bieber. Nicki had posted that. It made me think. Nicki posted this about Damari Hadley, and she tweeted this back in June. Do we have that tweet up, Will? The one I sent last? Yes. So Nicki Minaj tweeted, they've had access to my accounts on all platforms. I didn't change the passwords either. I let them continue doing everything they allegedly did to Damari to me. And you have no idea how disgusting it gets. Enough is enough. So then you think about it, it's like, okay, so she tweeted this in June saying that allegedly Rock Nation, Jay-Z, these powerful elites have access to her accounts. And then Nicki Minaj's Instagram, which has over 200 million followers, it was just abruptly deactivated. And Nicki has been very outspoken about the fact that she is not who deactivated her account, and she didn't post anything that was against the guidelines to my knowledge. So who deactivated this mega account with over 200 millions of global followers? That's not some small thing to take away. Who did that? Who did that? And the fact that she's posting the Damari Hadley story again, to me, it looks like a situation. What also confirms that for me. So I tweeted this in reaction to her putting out the pilot, which again, thank you for that, Nicki. I said, thank you so much. Being the queen that you are, I'm so grateful that you are continuing to use your platform to expose evil and corruption. Justice for Damari Hadley, investigate Desiree Perez, and snatch the lace front off of Jay-Z. Nicki liked that post, but then the next one is because once I realized she didn't just post this only about Damari, she is posting that, obviously for Damari, but there's something going on that's new information here. So then I posted the follow-up because I realized that every time somebody asked Nicki why her page was deactivated, she just reposted the Damari Hadley story again. Because she is whistleblowing, more people need to pay attention to what is happening to people like Damari, where she was falsely imprisoned, or her husband was falsely imprisoned. She was falsely Baker acted, which is known as a 5150 in California, where they try to say that you're insane. They're claiming that you're insane when you're clearly not, so that they can put you in these facilities, so that they can medicate you and sedate you and keep you silent. So I noticed that. So I said, every time someone asks Nicki about the deactivated account, Nicki posts a clip. It makes me think that it's about the allegations against Jay-Z. And I said that this is an SOS. And guess who liked that post? Nicki Minaj did. So she liked it, which to me tells me that my theory seemingly is clear, that she is being sabotaged by these Hollywood elites. We need to investigate Rock Nation before she ends up in a situation like Britney Spears, allegedly, and for the purpose of seeking clarity and also for entertainment purposes. Let's just say that. But all this to say, it's really terrifying what these people can do. And if you think that when certain people get into too much power, and 2028 is around the corner, if you get what I'm saying, I'm really scared of how normalized it's going to become for them to put us in psychiatric wards if we don't go along with what they have to say, or if they just keep trying to put us, in jail, censor us, take away our accounts. It's not good. They milk and abuse the most vulnerable people, and everybody thinks that these prolific people like Britney Spears and Nicki Minaj are untouchable, but they're actually the ones who are suffering from the most abuse, and they're being made an example out of. So I just hope you're paying attention to what you should be paying attention to, rather than this joke of a book from Kevin Federline. And Kevin Federline, when I catch you, that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for tuning in, cousins, and thanks for sticking around. I know I was a little late today. We had some technical difficulties, but Mr. Rodriguez and Country Will were holding it down. Thank you guys over there. And I will talk to you guys soon. Be sure to like, did I already say that? Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you haven't yet, go ahead and do that. And I'll talk to you soon.